All right. It's time, and I'm live for the first time. Yay. Live coding. What I'm going to do now is try to see, yes, if things are working as expected. Give me 1 second. Um, because this is the first time that I'm doing this. I'm newbie. Every time that I do a live stream with Finsweet, there is Gabe behind the scenes managing the live stream for me. I'm just doing stuff, but I don't need to care about anything else. But when doing it alone, things change, becomes harder. Okay, cool. Great. Um, well, I don't expect much people to watch this live stream, honestly, because I haven't been announcing it a lot. Because today I'm going to be mostly focusing on just learning how this stuff works and just planning all the work that I'm going to be doing. Um, because although I've been working on Finsweet attributes for a few days now, the work had been paused for many months because I had been focusing on other things like waste and becoming SOC 2 compliant in the company and many other internal things. But the idea is that for 2 hours a day, starting today, and I'm going to do it from Monday to Thursday. So I'm going to do 4 days a week. I'm going to be just doing these sessions where I just live stream, where I do these live coding. And because these sessions are mostly focused on my work, I'm really doing work here. I'm not just live streaming for fun, which I'm doing, but at the same time I'm doing some real work. So I need to plan for that. I need to properly manage my time and you know advance and things. So what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm going to be trying these first week, is that I'm going to do Pomodoro based sessions. Okay. So I've got here essentially my very minimalistic setup. I don't have anything fancy for, you know, overlays and stuff like that for the live stream. But I'm going to be following these Pomodoro tool sessions. Okay. And essentially, I'm going to be doing 25 minutes of the work. So, and then after those 25 minutes of deep work, I'm going to be doing pauses. Some of these pauses are going to be short, just 5 minutes. Some of these pauses are going to be long. Actually, the long pause will be at the end because this is going to be a 2 hour session. So 25 minutes, 5 minutes pause, 25 minutes, 5 minutes pause, 25 minutes, 15-minute pause, and done. And if I feel that I'm comfortable, maybe I'm gonna do longer sessions, but that's not the plan, at least for this first week. I'm gonna try now because I see that there's 4 people viewing this. Hey, hi, thank you for coming. But I'm using a platform which, by the way, I'm not paying for. You can see here because I'm just trying things. Um, um, because I'm not paying for it, I don't know exactly how it works. I haven't been gotten deep into it, but you can see here that it's called Restream. I think it's cool. I didn't have to set up much. I just connected 2 accounts, Twitch and YouTube, and I just hit go live, and it seems to be working, which is cool. But I've got here the watermark, and there's a limit of 720, I think, on the quality, which might be pretty bad. So I will need to zoom in quite a lot for everyone to see decently. But if this works well, I'm just gonna start paying for this, and then I'm gonna set it up properly. This today is just for learning and testing. Okay, great. So what I'm going to be doing now is essentially, actually, here I can add some tasks and I'm going to do that. But first of all, I want to plan for my first task is to plan for the tasks. So for the tasks, so I want to do a feature breakdown of the entire. Actually, I'm working on FS list. Okay, so this is the biggest attribute that is coming to attributes v2, which is a completely rehaul of CMS filters, CMS load, sorting, nesting, all that stuff. It's coming into a single attribute that it's called FS list. But as I mentioned before, because I haven't done work in many months, I need to replan again everything. There are things that I've forgotten. There are things that I want to change. There are things that I want to delete, etc. So the first task is going to be to do a feature breakdown of FS list. And I just messed this up. Come on. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to start just developing the next feature. Okay. So I don't know, guys, if you are making any comments. Probably not, because I just see 3 people in here. Whoever is watching this, I appreciate this. Um, but if you add any comments and I don't answer you, it's probably because I'm going to be doing these deep work. Um, Although I will try to explain out loud what I'm doing. So I'm not going to be silently just working, because that's going to be pretty boring. I'm going to be trying to explain what I'm doing. Okay. And if you have any comments, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. And when the short pause or the long pause comes in, I'm going to be answering those questions. Oh, nice. Hey, Joel. Yeah, I see the first comment. Cool. Okay, great. Thank you, Joel. That helps me a lot, just testing the platform. Um, that's great. So yeah, just chime in, drop out, whatever. I'm good. This live stream is mostly for me. I'm not expecting a lot of engagement, a lot of people here. So I just appreciate you just coming by and dropping a comment, for real. Um, and if you want to share anything, I'm happy to do it. And if not, just enjoy your day. Cool. Okay. So let me, before doing anything else, I'm gonna a list that I was preparing, because I think that it's better if I do it in Notion. There's better connections between tables. But I got this reference list. Can I just dump this? Hopefully I'll be able to just select everything. Let me see if I can do that. No, I can't. Okay, because there's quite a lot of attributes going on for this feature, the FS list feature, and I need to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So let's do it the other way around. Let's do feature based, and then we are gonna be breaking it down between attributes, and then we'll start coding stuff. Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so I need here first, this is going to be probably a, because I need to break down between categories in FSList, because we've got sorting, filtering, nesting, combining, all that stuff. Then it's going to be based on modes, because there are different modes in some features. For loading, we've got the mode of loading everything, loading more, loading with pagination, loading with scrolling. That's going to be modes. For filtering, there is simple and advanced modes as well, which, okay, which I'm going to show you in a second, because I think that it's cool. And then inside the modes, then we've got the features. Timothy, hey, came from Twitter, just watching on the side whilst building in Webflow. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Timothy. Well, if you want, you can follow the Pomodoro sessions with me. So if you want to just work when I'm working and then pause when I'm pausing, I think that it's cool just to share the work together. Okay, cool. So let's do this. This is gonna be category and this property. How do I do this? Because I want this to be, okay, here. So this is, what is this? That's the title of it. Probably, because I want to, come on, this is supposed to be a coding session, not a Notion session. So yeah, select. This is going to be a here an option. Some category is going to be load. I'm going to do lowercase, by the way. Some category is going to be filter, sort, nest, combine. And then inside FS list, we also have slider, tabs, prev next. What else am I missing? Combine, nest, sort, filter, load. Those are the basic ones. Okay. So this is going to be the category. Yeah, hold on, because I need to get rid of this one. What is this? Come on. Oh, okay, because this is making tables. I see. Okay. Okay. Because when you make a table in Notion, okay, hold on, database, table view, table of content to your page, table of contents. Because when I do a basic table, I cannot do custom things like checkboxes and stuff, right? No. Okay. Well, that's a pity. Then we're gonna call this. Actually, let's start by doing this feature, just describing. So this is gonna be the feature, and this is gonna be the category, and this is gonna be the mode, and that's gonna be a text. Okay, so for example, if I start by saying load all paginated items at once, which is already working, that's the category of load, and that's the mode of load all, like that. The reason why I'm using these codes is because I not only building these things, I'm also building automated tests for everything. So in the case of um, each of these features, I'm creating a page where there's a code for it. So actually, I could not describe this like that, but instead, yeah, I'm going to call these ID. And that will make more sense, yes. Because, and then there's going to be the feature like that. And let's move these here. Let's cut this here like that. And this ID, it's the one that describes the actual page where in what flow I'm doing things. And that's going to be list, load, all, like that. Okay, cool. Great. Because then it's easier for me to organize things. Otherwise, there's so many features in there that I'm going to be lost. So that's would be one. And then I need another one to say just status, not started in progress, done. Cool. This one it's done. I'm going to show you in a second. So at least you're not bored just seeing things that I'm planning. You actually can see things working. What else? Maybe I could add a link, a URL to the demo page. That could be an option. So for the tests, this works. Yeah, I'm gonna do demo URL. Yeah, cool. Okay, because in here I can show this like that. Great. Okay, we've got a plan. So basically, now what I'm gonna do for the next 60 minutes, probably I'm gonna need more time. I'm going to continue doing these breakdown. There are some things that are done. There are many things that are missing yet, which I'm going to continue doing later. Okay, great. So let's do all of them. So list, load more. And is there a shortcut for a new page? No. List, load, pagination. Then there's going to be list, load, infinite. But actually, there are more features in here that I need to add. So for the list load all the paginated items at once. That's fine. Yeah, I would say that it's absolutely fine. But then there's more things that I need to do, which is load. Let's do here. Let's move it up here because there are things like show the total items to display. Sorry, display the total items that are loaded in the background. That would be one of the features. I could potentially also add the related attributes to them. That's what I initially started doing here, which essentially I got a breakdown of all the attributes that play along. This is not even half of them. And and this is mostly for documentation, but there are some attributes that are only used let me zoom in, for specific features. Like, for example, there is an attribute that is only used for filtering, that it's probably going to be, yeah, the empty element. There's an attribute that is only used for pagination, that it's probably going to be something, yeah, page buttons, stuff like that. So also that also helps me getting an overview of things. What would be amazing though is that I could connect stuff. So I could connect between features to then when I do a list of attributes. And I don't think that I can do this here. Probably with, somewhere where I can add relationships between Airtable would make more sense. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. So today it's going to be Notion. Maybe tomorrow you're going to see these change to Airtable. But I'm good. Okay, great. So this is for load, load, and no specific mode. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is done. Yep. I think that we can get rid of these demo URL for now because I think that it's going to be hard to, because there's not going to be a breakdown, so a specific URL for each of the features. There are some of the pages that display multiple features. Okay, so let me try to go over the actual everything that can be done when loading, because loading is mostly done. But essentially, yeah, we've got the visible count. The visible count, that's for pagination. Then, hey, not Algebert. Thank you for coming. Okay, the loading. Oh yeah, I need to list down between loading. List load. Let's do list load base, and this is going to be items count, like that. And we can do, can I add one below? One below, come on, let me add one. No, I need to do it here. Okay, so this is going to be list load base chained loading. This is essentially load all the paginated items in a chain sequence. Actually, let's call it properly. This is going to be sequence loading. Sequence loading. And that's done as well, because when you, hey, I'm building FS list for attributes, algebra. So now what I'm doing is I'm breaking down all the features that are done or that are yet to be done, so I can organize better my work. So yeah, because when you got a list in here, when you got either if it's loading all, loading paginated, loading infinite, etc., what Finsweet attributes does is it goes to all the pages and it downloads that data. it downloads the items from those pages. But there are two ways of loading that we do internally. One mode is doing it with just sequence loading, chain loading. So essentially, we go from first page, we jump to the second page, we get the items, then we jump to the third page, we get the items, we jump to the fourth page, we get the items, etc. But obviously, that's not optimized. We can optimize that if we do another mode, that it's the parallel mode. So that's parallel loading. And essentially this in parallel, but this requires having the page count item on the page, because otherwise we don't know how many pages there are existing. I don't know if this list has, when I visit this, if this list has one page, if it has 10 pages, if it has 20 pages or 1,000 pages. We don't know that unless in Webflow we activate what is called the oh no, I need to go to the pagination here. You go to pagination and you enable the show page count, which I'm not seeing now. What the hell? Limit items, 3 pages. Oh, here, show page count. Okay, so when I enable page count, essentially what we can do is be smart about this, and we can say, okay, I know that there are 3 pages, so instead of jumping from one to another to another to another, I can just gather all the pages at the same time. Because if I disable JavaScript for a second and I reload this page, essentially what Webflow gives you is a next button in here. And this next button, Webflow paginates pages by using this kind of attribute in here. I don't know if you can see it, but this kind of attribute is Webflow's way to know when there are multiple lists on the same page. If one specific list is on a specific page, but another list is on a different page, etc. So they have to use this kind of weird query in here. But as you can see, we can visit the specific pages of that specific list if we know the amount of pages. So if I know that this has 3 pages, I can get this link from page 3, and I know for sure that there are going to be items. If I go to page 30, there are not going to be items because here I'm just loading 300 items and I'm doing 100 items per page. So there's going to be 3 pages. So that's the idea, that we do these kind of parallel loading in here. And that is done, actually. I actually want to confirm. So let's do that super quick. So what I can do super quick. What I'm not sure how to do is how to automate this, how to test for this. Because when I'm doing tests with Playwright, I could potentially intercept requests, but distinguishing between when we do in parallel and when we do in sequence, that's going to be hard to test. So I don't think there's going to be a test for this, although I'm not a fan of not having a test. Okay, but anyways. Okay, so load more in here, essentially load more. Then let's do click on the button, click to load more. Cool. Hey, Shane. Thank you. Hey, Alex. I love the social media. Looking forward to listening and watching as I work. Nice. Well, I hope that I don't confuse you. If you listen to me while I'm working and you feel confused, you can mute me. Just work alongside with me, and then when I'm doing breaks, maybe you can listen. Okay, so let's load more. Click the load mode. So essentially, click on the next button to load more items. That's working as well. I'm gonna add these later. So let's load a little more. This is just base, 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 not names, but base. All more. Okay, great. I don't think I need to add these prefixes of list. It's gonna be cleaner. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up the loading because I know that this one is down. And I'm gonna move into filtering because that's what I was working on before starting these live streams. Okay, so click to load more. There's already a test for that, I think. So let me check. Tests list. Yeah, load more. We've got for the loader as well. Yeah, I missed that. But when clicking on the next button, it shows more items. So that's already tested. Great. I need to add another item in here that it's the loader. Load base loader. Display a loader item while the items are being loaded in the background. That's also done. That's base. That's done. I think that it's done. Where's the test for that? Hold on. Loader. Load buttons. Select. I actually don't have a loader in here. Okay, cool. So maybe we can start by adding a test for that because there's no test. And that made me realize that not also this, I should be checking if it's done or not. I should be checking if there's automated test for it. So let's do a, yeah, they'll do a checkbox and let's say test. Automated test. And yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to review for the automated test in a second. So essentially, because then if there's any missing tests, what I'm going to do is start with those tests instead of building new things, because I want to make sure that things are fully tested before moving on. Okay, cool. So the loader, I think that it's not tested. I'm going to check it later. Sequence loading, parallel loading, there's not going to be tests for that. Load all, that's a single feature. Then load more, click to load more items. Is there anything else that I should add for load more? Because load more, it's not very complex though. Oh yeah, there's one cool feature that we added to V2 that it's load remaining. Yes, I can show you in a second. So load more to load remaining. Click on a button to load all the remaining items. And that's actually a neat feature that was suggested by Alex Schrum. So essentially, you can either be doing like loading more items, like in here. So you can see how I've got 100 items up to, I think that this is loading 1,000 items. Yeah, up to 1,000 items. And it's using sequence loading, as you can see, as opposite to parallel loading, which I can show you later. If I click on load more, it adds more items. So now I'm showing 200 and I can do now 300. But if I click on load remaining, it just finishes loading all the other items. That's a new feature in V2 that I think that it's neat. I don't know if there's an automated test for that. There might be. There might be. Load FS list load more. Load remaining. Yes, there's a test for that. Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so in pagination, there's a bunch of things that we need to add. Let's start with infinite because it's easier. So infinite is going to be scroll to load more. Scroll to load more items on the page like that. So that's load, that's infinite. That should be done, although I don't think I have tested it thoroughly. No, because there's no demo. Okay, great. So then let's add a new test for after these pause, which, hold on, 3, 2, 1. Yay, cool. Okay. So the next task is going to be add a test for infinite loading because there's a bunch of things that we need to test for that. Okay, cool. Well, I'm following Pomodoro. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, now it's time to do a 5 minutes break. I haven't done Pomodoro really because usually I'm very I'm very my attention span is very weird. I don't know if I have problems in attention, but I really struggle to focus on things. But the moment that I focus on something, then I just cannot stop. So maybe I'm not focusing for 2 hours, but then I do a 5 hour focus where I'm just focused on doing something. So trying out Pomodoro, I don't know if it's gonna be helpful for me or it's gonna be just more distracting than anything. We'll see. Shane, another handy load more attribute is the ability to specify how many items to load each time. Oh, would it be dynamic or would it be fixed? That's actually a great suggestion, Shane. Thank you. So how do you imagine that? Do you imagine that like where you can select dynamically, like if I have here, let's just if I have here something like this and I got a button that it's saying maybe not a button but a drop down that allows me to decide the items per page. Use it per instance. His ability to specify how many items to load each time. But like so the question would be like, if do you want it to be an attribute that it's just here? For example, this load more button that right now it's just loading. Let me reload this. That it's just loading 100 per time because that's the items per page. Do you want to have a something that it's like fs list load items? I don't know. And in here, come on, Webflow, don't cut here. And then in here, you do a fixed value, something like, okay, every time that I click, I want to have not 100, but I want to load 200. You know, something like that. Or let me hide this. Something like that. Or should it be something more like actually deciding the items per page? So instead of doing this, here I could have potentially a select dropdown. Let's add a form super quick. Potentially a select dropdown where you decide like items per page. And then in here, you would do something like 20 items per page. And then you would have, you know, like 50 items per page. And then maybe 100 items per page. right? So the users can decide the amount of items that, but that would be mostly for pagination, actually, because in pagination it's where you have these buttons, right? So in here it makes sense to decide how many display per page. But in load more, hmm, no, that wouldn't make sense in here in load more. Hmm. How about how about okay, correct. I use data load more items with a number value in addition from the type of load more. For example, 6 on a 3-column grid where the CMS might contain 500 items. Right. Okay. So that it's a fixed value. So instead of deciding to continue loading 100, you decide to do 10 per item. You just made me realize that maybe we can simplify these load remaining element potentially. Yeah, we can potentially do this. Actually, you give me a cool idea. Maybe we can do that. Actually, this is nice. So essentially, when you've got a list in attributes, when you've got a list in attributes, let's call these, I don't know, like color, cars, whatever, right? And in this list, we've got, let's imagine that we've got 100 items. Now, let's do 4 items. 4 items like that. And then you've got the button in here that just says more. So essentially, when you click on this button, what we do initially is we say, okay, right now there are 4 items on in here, and there is pagination. So we know that each of the pages have 4 items. So the moment that you click on load more, we know that we just have to add 4 more items like that. If you click more again, you need to add 4 more items like that. And one of the requests that we had is, hey, I want to load with the remaining, right? And that's why I created these FS list element load remaining attribute. But we can potentially get rid of this and instead do an attribute that it's called something like, let's get rid of this, an attribute that it's called something like, as I mentioned, come on, Waffle. Something like FS list. FS list. How can we call this? Items load? Items load? No. Uh, load count? I like load count. Could be one. Yeah, why not? FS list load count. And in here, instead of defaulting to the amount of items per page, we can override that. So instead of loading 100 per page, I could decide to load 20, right? So then when I click a mode on more, instead of loading 100 more items, I'm going to be loading 20 more items. That's cool. And then if I wanted to load the remaining, we could potentially have a dedicated keyword that it's called all. Yeah. Because then obviously it wouldn't make sense if there's only one single more item, because then you just simply would load everything. But we could potentially allow to have multiple next buttons. That could be an option as well. That could be an option. Yeah. So instead of having a single next button, we could have multiple next buttons. So then you could also play around with not only the native pagination, but you could have like different buttons that allow you to go to the next page or load more items as well, etc. Okay, cool. So let's do that. I'm gonna get rid of this. Well, let's do work on fs list lot count. I like this. Let's work on this. Cool. Okay. So let's do that. And that's going to be base. I think that these should be supported both in more and in infinite. Yeah, it should support it in both. So let's do. Um, so do load more, load count. Change the default amount of items that are being loaded when clicking on more or scrolling when in infinite. And that affects both more and infinite. So that would be modes because it's plural. Okay. In progress. Nice. Cool. Let's do that. Great. So let's jump into VS Code, actually. There's some work in progress that I was doing for filter results. That's a work in progress. We can get into that when I get into filtering. But let's do work in progress for now. Let's just commit this and let's create another branch. I don't know. Should I zoom in? I should zoom in. It's probably very small for you. View. Zoom in. Cool. Okay, so new branch, fs list, load count. Cool. Great. So essentially, as I mentioned before, let's close this. Let's keep in more. By the way, if anybody of you is still watching, can you let me know if this zoom level it's fine for you? I know that the quality is shitty because I'm not paying for restream, and it only allows me to stream on 720. But I think that it's more important the zoom level rather than the quality. I'm gonna pay for it probably tomorrow. You're gonna see better quality. Close others. So in here, when we do load more, what we do is essentially we know the items per page, and when we click on the click on pagination next button here, we get the initial items per page, and we just increment that, right? But I want to change that and instead allow changing the amount of items that we're loading. So let's create a simple demo for that. And that's going to be load more items count. No, not items count, but load count. Load count. Like that. Okay, great. And in here, what I want to do, I want to get rid of that as well later, because I want to change that instead of being in the load remaining, that's going to be a next button. But in here, load count, I want this to be 20, for example, right? And I just, 1 second, because I want to not have these attribute in the base page. So this one goes away, yep. And then load count here. Yep, 20. Okay, cool. So what I want to achieve now in here, it's that, let's visit this. Initially, we've got 100 items, and I don't want to load this from the CDN. I want to load this from locally. And the way that I do this is by just adding these def true. But I need to spin up the dev server, of course. Cool. Okay, let's refresh this. Like that. Nice. Okay, so right now, if I click on load more, what's going to happen is that it's going to load 100 more items, but instead I want to load 20 more items. So I need to change this behavior. Okay, cool. So I need more mode. Pagination remove. Yes. Load remaining. I'm going to get rid of these later to do replace for load count instead. So the way that we define all the attributes in the code base is that we've got these constants where we define the elements and we define the potential settings. So in here, I want to have a no attribute that is going to be called load count. In this load count, the key, it's going to be load count, and the values can either be all or a numeric value, like that, values. So defines the amount of items to load when clicking the load more button or scrolling in infinite mode. Cool. Okay, so then in here, when I get the pagination next button, potentially what I can do is list initial items per page. And I want to get refactor this, by the way. I'm going to do it later. But instead, I can do something like load count. And I can potentially not get it here, but I can get it in here instead. Yeah, load count. If there's a next button, what I can do is get attribute. And the element is going to be the next button, pagination next button, and the load count. Yeah, like that. And that it's going to be either a string or undefined. If it's undefined, then we just default to the items per page that are default. But if it's defined, then we do that instead. So there are two ways that we can do this. One way is that if it's all, so if the value is all, I need to load all the items. But if it's a numeric value, then we'll just load those items. So if load count is equals to all, then I'm going to do stuff, which I'm going to do later. Else parse numeric value. Yeah, let's call these raw load count instead. Yeah, and then in here, load count, we can do ternary here. Row load count is equals to all for now. I'm gonna do 0, not a number. But instead here, I can parse numeric attribute like that. And if the parsing fails, then I can default to the items per page, which is going to be a list items per page. No, initial items per page. Yeah. So if we did it right, that should give me a number instead. So let's quickly do it. Let's console log this, load count. And if I go to here, I open my console. If I click on more, yeah, that gives me the load count, which is 20. So instead of loading the initial items per page, which in this case would be 100, I want to load just 20 of these, like that. So instead, I'm going to do this load count. So if we did it right, I should be loading 120. Yay, nice. Look at that. Nice. And if I remove this for some reason, so now I no longer have the load count defined in here. Come on, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out here. Now it should be loading 100. Yes. Okay, cool. Great. Load count 20. Let's try that. Perfect. So Shane, hopefully that implements the feature that you wanted to see. Great, but I need to support a bunch of things still here. I need to support if the all is defined. I also need to support, I need to refactor the load remaining button, because this load remaining button now it's no longer necessary. What I want to do is support instead multiple next buttons. Okay, cool. Great. So what I was doing when load remaining, what I did was, yeah, just items per page, just make it the total items per page. Okay, so but this is going to be plus equals. Yeah, I will need to do an if else here. Yeah, let's refactor this. Okay, so if load count is equals to all, then what I'm going to do is items per page, the value will be the current total amount of items. Hold on, but the problem of that is that if they're still loading, yeah, there's an issue here. You'll see in a second. There's an issue here if the user clicks on load more while we are still loading items in the background. But else, items per page, that's a serious suggestion, Copilot. Plus equals the parse numeric attribute, like that. Okay, so I can get rid of this actually. Roll log count. This. Okay, there's potentially an issue here. So loading 20 items, it's fine, right? But if I change this to load all, obviously what I would like to see is that if I click on that and there are still items that have not been loaded in the background, while these items are loading, these items should still keep being added, right? Okay, we will need to do a bit of refactoring for that, but I think that it will make sense. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so 200, 300, you can see how this is increasing, right? So if I click on load all, look at that. It loaded 500 items, but ideally we'd keep loading more items as we are loading them in the background. So that's not good. That's not good. We need to support that. And I know that we've got a promise here. And The promise is essentially we can check if it's loading or if it's not loading. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. We can leverage this. We can potentially leverage this. We can say here, because I know that this is loading variable. It's set to true initially, but then it's set to false. Then also we've got this promise that it's loading the paginated items in the background, and then when it finishes, if the load remaining items was clicked, it continues loading things. But I'm still not a fan of that. What we can do, what we can potentially do is let me do a test. So let's do a uh, ta- 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 ta. Load let's do a test. I'm going to rename things later. Test. Okay. So what I want to do is when we hit on all, instead of just hard coding the total amount of items that are loaded at the moment that the user clicks on that, instead I want to add an effect, a watcher that checks where while the items are being added and added and added, it keeps updating the total amount of items. So instead of doing this, what I'm going to do is the test, it will be a cleanup for an effect. It will be a cleanup for an effect. Can I kill an effect from inside the effect? By the way, we use. I decided to use view reactivity as well for FS list because it's easier for me to do to implement observers and signals and stuff, and it helps a lot to simplify things internally. I might talk about this in another moment, but essentially here inside an effect, I can potentially do items per page without value. Oh no, hold on, not an effect because that's going to create an infinite loop. I need to watch, and I need to watch the items, the list items, items. I don't know why I have TypeScript problems with view reactivity. I need to check that as well. But I know that these items are going to have a list property. And in here, I can potentially do items per page, the value, items length, like that. But the moment that the loading paginated items finishes, I want to stop this watcher because it doesn't make sense anymore. Or actually, maybe we can keep it because if the user somehow dynamically injects more items later, it would still update. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna only do it once, and that's gonna be, let's call these cleanup load remaining listener, well, watcher, whatever. So we can potentially do this, and we're gonna test it now and add an automated test for that. So if I do this, clean up the remaining matcher, watcher, um, is this watch property? This is supposed to be returning a watch handle. Watch handle undefined. And here, these watch handle potentially should have, is it a cleanup function? I think that it is. Okay, let's try this for a second. And now something is failing. Watch list items. Let's do immediate. True. Okay, nice. But if I clean up the cache so it loads slow, come on. No, not the cache here, IndexedDB. I need to clean up. No cache. Come on. Ah, why is it being fed so fast? Hold on. I want it to be slow. We're going to do pause in a second. Da-da-da. 100, 200. Okay, load more. 300, 400. Hey, okay, cool. So now, yeah, the way that we fix this is essentially if we keep adding more items, if we keep adding more and more and more items, um, it keeps loading the items because it knows that it's supposed to be loading all of the items like that. Okay. So FS list load count, we're almost done, although I want to add an automated test. But there's another thing that we need to do now, which is support multiple next buttons. And if we do that, we probably need to also support multiple previous buttons. Right? Yeah, we need to do this. Okay, cool. Short break. I'm actually surprised because I'm seeing I've got 7 viewers. Well, I think that 2 of those it's me because I'm checking if things are working fine. Let me close this. I think that that's gonna drop now to 7 viewers, to 5 viewers, I think, which is more than I expected. So, guys, anybody who's watching this, I appreciate it. I don't know how helpful it is. Maybe I'm gonna run just a poll to see anybody who watched this, how do you feel about these kind of streams? But as I mentioned, these week I'm basically just learning how to do this. I want to make sure that I'm both working, but at the same time I'm entertaining, because otherwise this is going to be boring as hell. Just watch me work with for no reason, just coding. We'll see. Okay. Great. Cool. Hey, Timothy, join the stream. Nice. Well, if you got any questions, anything that you would like to talk about, I've got 3 minutes and 18 seconds to give you the answer. Or just share whatever. I'm happy to do it. Maybe in the future, I could make the sessions a bit longer instead of doing 5 minutes break. I could do like 15 minutes break, so I can go a bit more off topic and I don't know, like explore something, watch videos. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just learning for now. How's the quality of the video though? Is it shitty? I think that it's pretty shitty. I have a preview here on my other screen. Actually, I can show you. I've got this infinite preview, obviously, for you guys now, but it looks pretty damn low quality. I will have to pay for the tool. Okay. Feature breakdown for FS list that tests for infinite loading, FS list load count, support multiple next previous buttons. Yeah, after that, I think that we can focus in on filtering because I've got a bunch of work in progress in there. Quality looks good for a small screen. Okay, so you're watching on not a super big screen, maybe a mobile. Nice. Hey Joe, I'm looking forward to the view reactivity episode. I spent the last couple of months on list rendering methods. I will have some questions for sure. Nice. Yeah, let me do that. Actually, let me stream ideas. Streams ideas. Let me let me write that down because I usually every time that I have an idea for a live stream, I just write it down. And I don't think I've got written down the view reactivity one. Yeah, yeah. Let's add it. Thank you, Joel. Wait, by the way, Joel, I think that you will love the live stream that we're gonna do this Friday with the Finsweet technical live stream. I'm still doing the Finsweet technical live streams, by the way, every Friday. That's not changing. And well, hold on, let me write this down. View reactivity. Add view reactivity. Exploring. I don't know, like that. So the next this Friday, I'm doing a live stream with about the town, the creator of Balda Town. You probably because you're in the ecosystem of building both front end and back end tools for web developers. I think that you will love this because this tool has been blowing up lately. It's a pretty it's a pretty neat tool where you can create endpoints very quickly just by kind of like doing a GitHub gist, as it's mentioning here. You just define the logic for that specific function, and boom, it's live, and it's using Dino runtime, so you can import anything, and pretty powerful. And the creator of Balda Town, it's coming this Friday to do a live stream with me. So I think that you will love that. Really, I think that that guy, he's pretty nice, and it will be an entertaining live stream for sure. We're gonna be doing mostly, you know, going over some of the features and building something, but I will try to get a bit more technical and ask him how he's built specific things of this product. I think that it will be nice. Okay, cool. Next session. Let's go. There are two more Pomodoro cycles. Um, and then I'm going to stop for today. Valentine looks pretty cool. I like it, just not the immutability. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's persistence. They have a SQLite mode in there. Like you can persist things in SQLite, and there are a bunch of other things. I don't know if there's KB stored as well. There might not be. But obviously, if you want to build like a full blown SaaS product, probably about that town, uh, you know, falls short. But just for building quick endpoints, for testing things, or for many Waffle users who are building just very simple backends, I think that it's a pretty powerful tool. But anyways, let's go back to working here. Okay, so FS list lot count, that's mostly done, but let's add a automated test for that. So um, there are two tests that I want to do. First one is that I want to load this page and make sure that this is loading not 100 items, but instead only 20 items. So let's add that test first. And then the second test, I will need to support first having multiple next and previous buttons because I want to replace these low remaining element for a next button instead. Yeah. I mean, the code, Dino deploys are immutable. I want to talk more about this. What does it mean that Dino deploys are immutable? How would you want to mutate those deploys? I'm interested. Because as far as I understand, like every single serverless function, either AWS, Lambda, or Cloudflare Workers, or Dino deploy, all that stuff, because it's serverless, it's stateless, but immutable. Wondering what do you mean about that? I want to learn. Cool. Let's go and try to support multiple next buttons. So what we do right now is when we initialize the list component, um, we gather a bunch of items, right? We gather a pagination next element, pagination count element, pagination previous element, all that stuff. But we only collect one right now. But ideally, we could support multiple of those. We could support multiple of those, but I'm seeing a problem now. I'm seeing a problem, and it's that by default, right now, we force people to have those load more buttons. So the next button, sorry, inside the collection list wrapper. But I want them to be placed anywhere, not inside the collection list wrapper. Okay. If I have project and make a bad deployment, it still exists. You basically have all the versions. Oh, that's what you mean. Oh. Hmm. Okay, interesting. Yeah, right. Because Indino it deploys everything. Sorry, versions everything. So it would make sense that it also versions the deploys. Okay, so kind of like a Git history where you cannot once you commit something that you don't want to have, it stays there forever. Right, it makes sense. Okay. That's good to know. I didn't know of that about Dino. Thank you, Joel. I want to change the way that we collect the pagination next elements. And instead of just looking inside the wrapper element, I want to look everywhere. So, so I will need the instance as well, right? I will need the instance. How do I do this? Because essentially I need to query two times. I need to query inside the collection list because that's a default behavior that I want to maintain. People just not having to add an instance to the pagination next button because it's nested already. I use an attribute that looks for the ID of the button. Yeah, well, that's mostly what we do in Finsweet attributes. We define things with attributes, and then when there are multiple instances, we use the instance attribute. What I'm thinking is that I could do two things. I could get the collection elements pagination next, which in this case would be just the element itself. Hold on. How do we query with, let me try to remember this. I've got this helper here that is called query element. And essentially it creates a selector automatically and it queries that. But if there's instances, for example, how did instances work? If, yeah, select all the items without an instance. If instance exists, select the specific element instance. Right, but if there's an instance, but the element down does not have an instance, I don't want to define that. I don't want to define that. So what we will have to do is omit some querying. So, because this helper as well helps me getting collection elements, because one of the things that we do as well is we look for built-in native Webflow buttons or elements. And for example, this more item, it's a Webflow native more item. And we know that because it has some CSS applied to it. It has this W pagination next class. And because we know that, I know that without asking the user to define elements, without asking them to say, okay, this is FS list element, next button, we just detect that automatically, right? We infer that. That's why we've got these get collection elements, because we infer things. But that only uses, it only gets it from a collection, but I also want to get as well outside of that collection. So we could potentially get the collection elements, pagination next, and then do a query element that looks for a dedicated attribute, which in this case would be a next button. Next button, like that. Yeah, like that. So this query element, we got the option of passing an instance. We also got the option of passing a scope. Potentially, I could add an additional helper that emits something, because the scope could be everything except the wrapper element. Or it could be easier and just add the items only if they don't exist, right? Yeah, we could do that as well. The pagination next element could potentially, instead of being an array, could be a set. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so this pagination next element right now is a view ref, as you can see. The reason it's a view ref, it's because we need to reactively check if a pagination next element that did not exist before, it exists after, because that could happen if you potentially load a list in a page where, sorry, copy the link address, in a page where there is no more pages. So if I go to page number 10, hold on, I think that I fell. Am I back? Ugh, that scared the shit out of me. I don't know what happened, but Chrome just closed completely. Can you guys still see me? I'm sorry for that. Hold on, I need to add screen share again. Yeah. I don't know what the hell happened here. Okay, copy link address, page 10. Okay, cool. Okay, so essentially what you can see is page 10, there is no next button. Okay, thank you guys. I don't know what the hell happened, but just Chrome shut down completely. If I go to page 10, you can see how there's only previous button, but there's no next button, right? And the reason why that happens is because Webflow is smart about it, and designed here. Webflow is smart, and if you're paginating and you're watching the first page, it only shows you the next button. If you're seeing the last page, you're only seeing the previous button. If you're seeing a page in the middle, you see both. You see the previous and the next button, right? So it can happen that you got a user who landed on a page that is the last one. So there is no next button. And because there's no next button, that means that potentially on page load, there could not be no next button. But when we are loading more pages, we detect if there is no next button, but the page that we just loaded has a next button. So in that case, we get that next button and we put it in the state. So we inject it. And to make it simpler, I just make this reactive so we can check for it. So instead of having a single value property here like that, I want it to be a set. Now the question is going to be, is it going to trigger state if I use a shallow ref for a set? Let's check that. So if I use shallow ref, and instead of having this, I have a set of pagination button element like that. If I do this, obviously now I'm going to get a lot of errors, TypeScript errors, which is fine. We're going to fix that. I because Chrome shut down, I missed. Now this is gone, but I think that I've got still about 10 minutes. So if this is a shallow ref, now here I need to update these things to make sure that anytime that we get a new item, we add it to the set. And if there's a duplicated item, that it's not added again. So we could potentially do pagination next element value could be a new set like that. Get collection elements. Yeah, but that could potentially also return null. So we need to update this to, instead of returning this null undefined, we are going to get an array here. Get collection items. Pagination button element, this is going to be an array. And I need to fix this because this is going to be like that. And now I need to change that. So essentially here, collection list wrapper, instead of doing a single query selector, we're going to do a query selector all like that. And we are going to turn that into an array like that. Yes. Okay, great. So now these get collection item elements, instead of returning a single button, it returns an array, which means that in here, we could potentially have a new set for that. And then we could also potentially no, I just add things. When adding things here, it must be a single one. Yes, it must be a single one. So yeah, let's do it like that. So then we can potentially let me query element, query all elements. Let's do all elements, and I'm gonna do next pagination next, and I'm gonna pass the instance, and for each element potentially it's not assignable to primary HTML anchor element. Yeah. But I'm going to pass here a generic like that. Okay, so we can do this potentially. So instead of creating a new set, I'm also going to do the same thing for pagination next element. Here, I'm realizing that I should have created a new branch for this because I'm fiddling quite a lot here now. But let's do it anyways. Okay, so if we did it right, now we've got a set in here like that, where we are querying all the collection items that are inside the list, for so all the pagination next that are inside the list, and also the ones that are outside of the list. We're doing it like that. So let's do the same thing for the anti elements. And I'm doing this on purpose to get TypeScript errors because I need to fix this. I want to make sure that I see everywhere where it changed. So let's do it again. Get collection elements. Actually, I can do that, just copy and paste. Pagination next, pagination previews. And that will be for the pagination previews elements. And I need to fix this because it's only pagination button element, but it's not null or undefined. Okay, great. Pagination previews. It must be a set. Yeah, set. So like that, and then it's gonna be there's a new set like this. I don't know if I'm messing this up quite a lot now, so stay with me. So get collection items, get collection elements, query all elements, query all elements. Let me move this down to here. Get pagination elements. Okay, because then in here, pagination query, get the pagination search entries. Yep, and now I realize that that's not the proper way of doing this. Absolutely not. The proper way of doing this is by having two different sets of buttons. Because I need to know which one is the default button. Because one other thing that we do, you probably at this point can see how FS list it's pretty complex. One of the things that we do is when we start processing a page, a list, we need to get a bunch of info that Waffle does not provide, like the, can I zoom in here somehow? Well, here, like the query parameter of the pagination of that list, because Waffle has unique paginated query parameters for each list, and it does not expose that on the DOM. So when you load a page like this, the only way of knowing that pagination query parameter is by getting it from the next button. We also, oh, look at that, we've got the first bot. Huh. No, we're not going to visit your website. Go away, bot. So we also get more things like the amount of pages. We also get the initial page, because it could be that the user is not on the first page, but as I mentioned, it could be on the 10th page or the 5th page. We also get that using the next button. Target page and current page. So we need to distinguish between what's the built-in Webflow next button or previous button and the additional ones. Okay, let's do a break for now because I need to think about this. How do we do this? 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 Well, we could potentially still do this, but try to find out which one is the its web flows built in by getting the CSS class. Yeah, I think that we can do that. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. But what I want to do first, would you use a trigger target method? Can you explain more, Shane? What do you mean by trigger target method? You mean a JS method? You mean an attributes functionality? You mean a coding pattern? What do you mean by that? Because I'm thinking that maybe the easiest thing is to, because when we are querying for items, when we're querying for items here, get collection elements, we are getting a CMS element selector. Yeah, there are these, we can potentially check if it has these classes. Where other buttons still target Webflow's native, but oh, okay. I get what you mean. Well, that's not a bad idea, actually. It would be a hack, though, because so essentially what Shane is saying is, hey, okay, so we can maintain just having one single button here, right? But if we have an additional button somewhere in here, instead of adding any functionality to this button, instead what we do is just mirror these ones. So the moment that the user clicks on this one, we don't run any specific logic. We just emit another click that goes to this one, and this one handles things. That would be a way of doing it, which would simplify some things, but at the same time, it could potentially create technical debt inside the code base, because now you got elements that are emitting events, and it's hard to keep track of that, because now you need to remember that those items, when they are clicked, not only they might be doing something, but at the same time they are uh, emitting another click to another element, and that element might be running some logic. And that's good when it's a simple solution when you're trying to hack together something in a Webflow project, but when you're trying to build a library that needs to be maintainable and scalable, ooh, sounds like a recipe for disaster. Yep, I know that it's powerful when building, but I think that could be a foot gun when implementing that inside the code base, inside the library. I'm thinking that it's easier. Let me try to, for now, let me try to commit the work on here. Actually, no, it's fine. Yeah, the work that I'm changing is in list and in DOM. So these two are the ones that I'm messing up pretty badly right now. In case that I regret moving into an array. Okay, cool. So let's do the last session, the last cycle of Pomodoro. I will try to get this done, and I will end the live stream here, and I will resume tomorrow. I will keep doing work. So tomorrow, when I resume, there will probably I will be doing some other things. Um, but yeah, let's try to get this done now. Okay, so pagination elements now have moved into being plural. These have moved into being multiple. Let me try to remember where we use this. So we use it in list all infinite load. When doing load, what do we do with this? Yeah, also what we do here is we get the one that it's from Webflow. Yeah, I think that hold on, this is going to make sense to you. What we can do is have two properties. We can have the pagination previous elements that could potentially be all pagination previous elements and all pagination next elements. And then we can have still another property that's just a computer property that um, only only gets the one that it's from Webflow. Yeah, that could work. Because then at the same time, that would mean that when we're creating custom lists, which means that our lists that are not CMS based, that are not from Webflow, but instead are lists, let's say from Wist or just custom JavaScript or whatever. In that case, we don't want to be loading things from other Webflow pages because there's not going to be a crep ram for this. There's not going to be things here because it's a custom element. It's not a CMS list. So that would mean that it would skip trying to do that in those instances. That might work. That might work. Pagination next. What are we doing here? Get pagination elements. Yeah. Get pagination elements. And in here, get the pagination query. Right. Initial pagination next. Yeah, absolutely. That makes absolute sense. That makes absolute sense. Yep, let's do that. So what I'm going to change is, first of all, I'm going to um, change again the get collection elements thing, because this one, I think that we can maintain just checking for a single element instead of an array like that. So when we get the collection elements, it's going to be still one element. And in here, we're going to have two properties. We're going to have the all the pagination previous elements. So let me rename this to all pagination previous elements. And nope, not this. And all pagination next elements. That will hold all defined by the user or native Webflow CMS. Like that. So it will contain all of them. But I also want to have another property that is public read-only. Read-only pagination previous element, and that will be a computed one. Like that. And that will be the this all pagination previous elements dot value. And let's not make this a set. I think that these will complicate things a bit more. Let's just make it an array because I want to use find and I want to use things. Let's make it. Let's try the set for now. So here, these all pagination list elements. This will be an array and find. And when I want to find the one that has a pagination previews element, I want to find the one that, and that's a, I don't know why I'm having any. I need to check for that. But in here, CSS class list has contains, oh yeah, but I'm using selectors here. I am using selectors with a dot. How do I, in JavaScript, how do I check if an element matches a specific query selector? Let's ask ChatGPT. Come on. How do, in JavaScript, zoom in. Can I zoom in? Make text bigger. I cannot zoom in. I'm sorry. In JavaScript, how can I check if a specific DOM node matches a CSS query selector? Matches. Okay. I need to use matches. So not class list, but matches. CMS, CSS classes, pagination previews. That's what I need. Okay, cool. Pagination previews. Is that it? Oh, actually, we've got some constants here. Hey, okay, I'm duplicating things. I've got some duplicated code here. Yeah, look at that. I've got duplicated code for many things. I could potentially reduce this if we did. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. I just like prefactoring shit. So let's do that super quick. So then instead of using matches, I can have the class list and I can use that. So instead of doing class list contains this. Okay. But in here, I've got some duplicated code and I don't want that. I want to be lean because otherwise these are going to be shipped both duplicated. So can I ask ChatGPT? Replace each of the values for dot for the equivalent. But it's called the same. So then we need to call these selectors. And then here I want to import CMS, CSS classes like that. So refactor this and replace all the values for a template literal that joins a dot plus the value in the CMS CSS classes object. Is it going to do it? Yay. Kind of. Almost. We almost got it done. So this would be empty state. This would be page count. Come on. Come on. Fix the accessors. They are wrong. Now, okay, done. Cool. So now we're no longer duplicating these strings, which would be bundled inside the funnel bundle. We're keeping it lean. Great, that's better. Okay, so now I can come here and I can say contains this. What am I getting this? Oh, value. Like that. Find the pagination previous element where the class list contains this. The native Webflow CMS previous button. So that should be either anchor element or undefined. Good. Great. And then we are going to do the same thing for the next button. So there's going to be next, and that's going to be pagination next, like that. Great. Okay, so that means that we can I need to refactor this to do this instead. Pagination next in here, add. Pagination next element will be this. And if there is a pagination next element, then we are gonna add it. Cool. Okay. And then query all the elements, pagination next elements, value at this element. Good. And then the same thing for pagination previews. Pagination previews like that. And same thing here. Like that. Okay, good. So we can get rid of this. We can keep this in here. Get pagination next elements and get pagination previews elements. Like that. Okay, let's see if that makes sense, though. Cool. Okay, so then let me check. There are a bunch of places where we are mutating this, which right now we can no longer mutate it because this is a computed property. Hey, Nicola. Thank you for coming. I'm actually almost done. There is 12 minutes left, but I appreciate you coming by. Thank you. Okay, so the pagination next element value is assigned. It's only assigned here. Okay. And same here. Okay. So that would mean that pagination next, if there is a pagination next element value return, yeah. Get pagination elements, the missing pagination elements. I need to rename this to get CMS or Webflow pagination elements. Get Webflow pagination elements. Now let's do CMS ones. CMS pagination elements. Because then pagination next element, if it's in there, return. Right. But if it's not there, we want to pagination this that pagination next elements, all pagination next elements value at pagination next, like that. And we're going to do the same thing here for pagination previous elements. Great. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. What I want to do now then is I want to not listen for a single one, but listen to multiple ones. Pagination next, pagination next. Yeah, so in all mode, I need to not only handle one, I need to handle multiple. So instead, I'm going to do this, list all pagination next elements, value for each element. Yeah, for each of those elements, I need to display none, like that. Correct. And we're going to do the same thing for list.all pagination previous elements, like that. Display none. That would make more sense. And pagination previews, that goes away, that goes away. I can get rid of this, and actually let's get rid of this as well. I don't know why we're displaying none and not removing though. I can check that later. Yeah. Okay, so then here infinite pagination next element, pagination next button. Let's do in the more one, because now I don't want to have a single listener. I want to have multiple listeners. Yeah. Correct. So in here, we're not going to have a single click. We're going to have multiple clicks. Yep. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I want to get an error. Pagination next button. I don't want that. So here I want to do list dot all pagination next elements, value for each. And in here, we're going to do this and get rid of this. Great. Correct. And then I don't want to have a single listener. I want to have multiple listeners. Now, I don't remember if in here we can have multiple targets. We can't. But I do want to have multiple targets. So if I do this, then let's do const targets array that is array the target, like that. So then we can do targets for each. We can add the event listener like that, and then targets for each, remove the event listener like that. Okay, cool. So now we can add event listeners, add listeners to multiple. So pagination cleanup next buttons, that will be plural. And that will get, yeah, we definitely need to not make it a set, but make it an array, because that's just, I'm complicating things constantly. And I don't want to do that. Yeah, this is not going to be a set, it's going to be an array. An array like that. And same thing in here. Let's not make it a set, let's make it an array. But if it's not a set, then I need to check every single time if it's duplicated. Okay. Anyways, don't mind me. Don't mind me. I didn't say anything. How about we support? Let's support sets as well. Like that. So if it's an array, this. If it's a target instance of set, like this, target. Cool, like that. So that means that I can potentially all pagination next elements. I can pass that. Can I? Oh, value. Hold on. Value like this. Cool. Like that. And then row log count. Yeah, I need to get it from the target get attribute. So e dot target, like that. And that's supposedly if there is no target, which doesn't make sense, but return like that. And that's now an event target. So, or if it's not an instance, see dot target instance of return, like that. Actually, I got a, hold on, I've got a type guard, which is element e dot target, like that. Okay. So that makes that means that now it's watching for multiple click buttons. But it's not working. Hold on. Low remaining. That should work. Did I publish it? Yeah, it's supposed to be a next button. So it should definitely look for it. Okay, let's console log this for a second. All pagination previous elements. All pagination previous elements. All pagination previous elements. I should have here multiple buttons, right? Let's console log that, just in case. Am I getting multiple? Oh, hold on. I wasn't in dev. I needed to set it to dev mode. No, but still a single set. So it's not finding this. Pagination next instance. Corel element. Pagination next. How did I set that? Oh, because it's not next button. It's, how is it called? Pagination next. I keep forgetting myself about the the attributes that I use in Finsweet attributes. Okay, let's see that now. 2. Okay, great. Now, okay, so that means that now we are supporting multiple next elements, and as you can see, this one is loading 20 items. This one is loading 100 items. But potentially, I could come here and say fs list how much low count, I think it was low count. all like that. I'm gonna end in a second. I want to make sure that I wrap this up. And if we did it right, then this one should load 20 items. Yes, it loads 20 items. This one, it should load everything. Yay. Woo. Okay, cool. So this is done, but I need to support the all one in infinite and when loading and when doing pagination. So let me quickly do this because I've been tweaking quite a lot of things in here, and I want to make sure that um, I want to make sure that I did not miss anything. So here, pagination next, pagination next. Why maybe we even doing this? Pagination next, pagination button, pagination button. This could simply just be this. Sometimes I do shit that I don't even know why I do it. Like that. So that could go away potentially. That pagination next. That pagination next could be here. So I can get rid of all of that. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, done. Woo! Nice. Nice. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, nice. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having the patience of going over this with me. Great. Okay. Um so well, there's a bunch of refactoring. I'm gonna do it later. But what's important now is that I need to make sure that infinite mode as well works. And in infinite mode, we do the same thing as well. We add a listener. We add some listeners. Yeah, I need to do the same thing that I did for more. So let's quickly do it, which is that I da, 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 da. If there's no pagination next button, I think I can get rid of this, and I can add the pagination previous button. We can replace this for that, and we can as well do the same thing for the next. Oh, hold on. No, 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 no. I want to. It's not for that we did for mode. We did it for all. Yes, that's what I want to do. Okay, hold on, hold on. So here in more, I don't want to hide just the single pagination previous button. I want to hide all of them. So this would be this. So that can go away. That can go away. That can be refactored a bit more. And let's get rid of this. Gonna do it later. Oh, these low remaining now can go away as well. I'm gonna remove this in a second. But then in here, yeah, displaying on all of these, but only here. Yeah, like that. So then we are paginating all the items displayed, all items displayed. If all the items are displayed, just goes away. Great. And then all latest dot all pagination next elements, the value. We prevent default. Yeah, okay. So that can go away as well. If there's no list element, makes sense. Observe this. Okay. Then when loading here, pagination next element. Yep. Although this should be the value like that. Pagination next, pagination next. Why am I doing this kind of shit? Come on. Then in pagination, yeah, we need to handle multiple page buttons in pagination mode. I'm gonna do it after the live stream because I don't want to bore you guys here. But I need to do this. To do handle all pagination next previous buttons. And I need to handle as well getting rid of the load remaining element because that's no longer a thing. Because now we just have the pagination next button defined. So load remaining goes away. This goes away. This goes away. This goes away. I think that we can get rid of all of this. I love getting rid of shit. Okay, and then clean up pagination next buttons. Clean up load remaining button. That can go away. We don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, let's try this again. Low more, 20, low remaining, 1,000. Great. Okay, so that's done. More is handled. Infinite. I'm gonna go over infinite later. But at least, oh, I need to add tests for that. So fs list look and it's done, but I need to add tests for fs list load count. Support multiple and previous next buttons. That's also done, but I need to add a test for these as well. Add test for this. Okay. Well, we still have things to do. But I think it was a productive live stream, guys. I really appreciate everyone who was here today. As mentioned, for now, I'm keeping things as just 2-hour sessions. So I've done, yeah, it's been 2 hours now, where I've been doing these Pomodoro sprints, where I work 25 minutes, I stop for 5 minutes, etc. I would love to get your feedback. As I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, I am just learning how this shit goes. I don't know if this is entertaining. I don't know if I'm confusing people. I don't know if I should do things differently. Not sure. For now, that works for me because I work better when I speak out loud. Honestly, it helps me think. So I might just record myself as well, which is what I'm doing now. The next step is to make these a bit more entertaining for everyone, right? Before I leave, question here. Shane, we built a custom load more solution for a CMS collection that is dynamically filtered by external API calls, but never got around to dealing with pagination. Loving this stream. Okay, nice. I can, Shane, if you want to come tomorrow, we can talk about this. Custom loads more solution for a CMS collection that is dynamically filtered by external API calls. You're gonna love then how attributes v2 it's handling filters. Actually, let me show you super quick. Hold on, let's do this super quick. So in attributes v2, the way that filtering works is, let me show you basic filtering here. Remember that I mentioned that I'm using view reactivity for this. And one of the places where I implemented reactivity is in the filters. And that's nice because when I want to programmatically change a filter, I only need to update a property and then it just goes, it's filter automatically. You're going to see that super quick. So right now, if we inspect this, I got these list instance, and this list instance has a bunch of things going on in the background, right? But um, what I am storing, it's here, filters, okay? So we essentially have these filters property where we can have, multiple conditions. And one of the conditions is that their name has something, or the year contains something, or the color contains something, etc. Right? So if I fill, for example, and I say that I want the year to be 2020, like that, you can see how items are filtered with 2020. If we inspect this again, let me store this in a global variable. If I check temp1 filters again, you will see how this is put in here. Okay, let me zoom in here, like that, right? The value, it's 2020. So if you just come here and you update stuff, if you come here, filters, and you go to groups, and you go to the first group, and the reason why there's groups and conditions is because we also have advanced filtering, but I'm going to get into that in a different moment. Conditions, and inside that condition, you look for, well, let's do it hard coded for now. Yeah, the year in here, if I change the value, in here, you will see how it automatically, hold on. No, it's supposed to be a string, sorry. If you change the value, you can see how now this is dynamically filtering everything. And you don't have to do anything. You just come in here, update the property, and it automatically filters for you, like that. Right? One of the things that I'm missing still doing is handling as well, updating the input. So if you change that programmatically, I want to make sure that the input is also updated to 2023, for example, right? But at least that's something that you could potentially make use of in your custom system. So hopefully that means that you like this, Shane. There's definitely a lot of documentation to be done here, but once we got this ready, once we document this, I think that it's going to be pretty powerful. Absolutely. Great. Okay. I think that it's time for me to say goodbye because I want to hit the gym. So the reason why I'm stopping now is because now I'm gonna go and do all this stuff, and then I'm gonna come back and do some more coding. But anybody who joined here and want to see how I was building things before, I think that these live streams should stay up, recorded both in YouTube and in Twitch. I think I'm going to check it now. And if not, if you want to still follow along and you like this session, see you tomorrow at the same time. It's going to be 10 a.m. UTC GMT. Okay. So for now, I'm doing these time slots. Gonna work. I don't know if there are other time slots that work better for people. I'm gonna be checking that. For now, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Spain time. It's my time, so 11 a.m. Spain time. So IST, which I don't know what it is, it would be 15:30. If it was EST, it's pretty early for EST people. It's 5 a.m. I don't know, India time. What's the India time? Okay, so 5:30 for India time. It would be London time. I think that it would be the same thing. I don't know. It's 1 hour less, so it would be 10 a.m. for London time, etc. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you being here. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, all.